Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I didn't kill my wife. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
I don't care.
You don't. You don't.
No.
You don't. We are dorking out about 1993's The Fugitive. This is our, we're getting ready to go to Chicago in a couple weeks, so we're going to do a whole bunch of Chicago movies. And this is our first one. I'm really excited. It's written by Jeb Stewart and David Twohy? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because there were a ton of uncredited rewrites and a lot of improv. Did you read that too? A lot of improv on this movie.
Yeah. I mean, and the actors kind of came up with their own stuff, especially about the pharmaceuticals. Which we'll get to.
We're going to talk about that. And then it's directed by Andrew Davis, who before this had been doing like Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal movies, which I am fascinated by. He did Under Siege, which also has Tommy Lee Jones. And I don't know, I think everyone would agree that's probably the best Steven Seagal movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then this one, of course, stars Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. I love this movie. It was nominated for 7 Oscars, including Best Supporting Actor, which it won, and Best Picture. Did you know it won an MTV Movie Award?
For which category? Best Kids?
I wish. Best On-Screen Duo.
You know what?
Yeah. I love that this was nominated for an MTV Movie Award because who doesn't want to watch a couple of... the idea that like young people were like, yeah, I think the best on-screen duo were these 2 middle-aged guys. Like, I don't know. It's funny to me. Can't believe it didn't win a Teen Choice Award. That's all. And it was a huge movie. It was the 3rd highest grossing movie that year. It's way better than it had any right to be. Did you see it in the theater, Margo?
Absolutely. I saw it multiple times in the theater.
Same.
That's the case where I went to the $1 movie house.
Yeah.
I would just be like, what am I doing tonight? Nothing's on. I can't rent anything. I'm going to go see The Fugitive again. I just stupid love this movie. It's not perfect, but I super love it.
I love it too. And I hadn't watched it in a really long time. And like like I said, we were doing our Chicago movies and I was like, how about The Fugitive? And you were like, oh my God, yes, The Fugitive. And then I tweeted that we were going to do The Fugitive, and a few people reached out to me, and all of them were like, this is strangely one of my comfort movies. Like, people love The Fugitive. They love it. And I get it. Because it's super fucking watchable. It's so fun.
It does this really interesting thing that it just keeps the tension going all the time. But I never feel sick from it. Like I can't handle movies that have too much tension. It gets me uncomfortable. It's just enough to get me from scene to scene to scene. But there's always a joke in there to kind of lighten the mood.
Yes.
It's this, and Chicago looks amazing.
I can't wait to go.
Amazing.
I can't wait to go. I'm so excited. I've never been to Chicago, and I'm just excited to see you and see Chicago.
And our friends at F This Movie.
Yeah, all of our friends from F This Movie we're all gonna hang out. I can't wait. It's gonna be so fun. But I texted you last night and I was like, I took so many notes watching this movie because I was thinking about, so this movie played at my theater. I saw it many, many times. It was just because it's so easy to rewatch because it kind of drops you in the middle of the story. It's like, and now your story already in progress. Like the movie opens with the murders already happened. And, Richard, if you haven't seen it, like Harrison Ford plays a Dr. Richard Kimball and he is wrongly accused of murdering his wife. And within the first 15 minutes, the movie is like the murder. He's charged. He's convicted. He's in jail. He's sentenced to death. By 15 minutes, there's already like a massive train accident that's like such an amazing action scene.
Yep.
And the movie just goes. It fucking moves. It just keeps going. And it's an action movie, but it's not violent, which is why I think I can watch it again and again. It's not, it's not like Under Siege. It's not that kind of action movie. It's one of the reasons I love it, and it reminds me of things like there used to be a lot when action movies came out. It was about like muscles, right? So it was like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, and it was all about these like really like super buff, almost superhero like guys, or it was like these creeps like Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal. Pfft, I hate those guys; they suck. But like,
or something like Tango and Cash.
Yeah. They all had like super like, and Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal had like martial arts, but like all of them all these action movies, they all had like almost like superpowers. And then you had movies like Lethal Weapon and Die Hard, and they were more everyman. And I feel like The Fugitive takes that to a higher. Die Hard is like one of the best action movies ever made. And I think
Christmas movies.
And I think The Fugitive is like that too. Like, he's Harrison Ford and he's super hunky and dreamy and we love Harrison Ford, but he also is like such a good stand-in for like an everyman. He's smart, but he's not a genius. He's a doctor. He's smart, but he's not a superhero. Like, no,
he's wrongly accused of murder. And he's terrified. He can't. They establish it so well how the cops could come to that conclusion, like the phone call for the wife to the emergency, and she's like, "Richard's, they're killing me, Richard, they're killing me."
Oh, that part makes me so sad.
Oh, Celia Ward is here. She's beautiful.
Yes,
they set it up so perfectly, and then there's this incredible, like you said, train crash. Nobody should survive that.
Mm-mm.
But who cares? He does survive it. And then you bring on Tommy Lee Jones as Gerard, and Tommy Lee Jones just owns this fucking movie.
He totally does.
So amazing.
He won the Oscar, and it's so funny. It is one of my things where I think back on that and I'm like, really though? Really? Should Tommy Lee Jones have won? But then I rewatched this movie and I'm like, he's really good in it.
Yeah.
He is really good in it. And we're going to, later in the episode, we'll talk about like the other people that were nominated, and they're all really good too. But he is really good in this movie. And I think there's something special about Tommy Lee Jones in this movie and his team. And that was something else that I went crazy and wrote a million notes about last night, because we have all these shows now on TV, like all these crime shows, right? Like NCIS, CISs. I could just rattle off a whole bunch of acronyms right now and you'd say like, yeah, that's probably a show. Like, it doesn't matter. There's all these crime shows, and they're all these like teams of people fighting crime, and they all have the thing that they're super good at. And there's a lot of like witty repartee, and there's just so many of them. And I think that The Fugitive almost like set that standard.
Yes.
Like, what you see in The Fugitive with Tommy Lee Jones as the lead is very much what you would later see in CSI with William Peterson, or NCIS with Mark Harmon, or like that kind of thing. Or what, was it Mandy Patinkin? Not Mandy Patinkin, I'm sorry. Joe Mantegna was in Criminal Minds, like that sort of thing. Like,
yes,
Tommy Lee Jones did it first, and he did it so good that we wanted it more. And now we like every show is this basically. And I'm fine with that, by the way. I understand people love those shows. He's really fucking good in this movie. I really like him.
He takes command right away.
Yes.
And he has he's a United States Marshal. He's interested in figuring out who started this crash, and he knows Richard Kimball is on there. It's that way he just says, Dr. Richard Kimball, like with such disgust. You, on the one hand, you don't want him to catch Harrison Ford because we know he's innocent.
Yes.
We want him to get away, but it's a 2-hour movie, so they gotta, and then he is the good guy. There's one scene that I don't like that I forgot about, which is they break into the house and it's the wrong house, and he shoots a guy, and the guy is holding one of his team captive.
Yeah.
He puts the gun against his head. Okay, so spoilers, by the way, we do spoil. And then they're like, oh, it's the wrong place. Oh, and then the wife starts screaming and he just says, shut up.
Well,
It's played for laughs.
So
And
that's
like,
that
oh.
scene. That's one of the things I put in my notes, and then I had forgotten about that scene, and a couple of people get away in that train crash. Harrison Ford does. And the other guy. And there's really no mention of the other guy for a really long time in this movie. And then that scene happens, and you think they're going after Harrison Ford, and they're actually going after the other guy that got away. So it's not like that dude was like an innocent man, but it's hardcore, like that he just full on murders this man.
Yeah, well, then tells the woman to shut up.
Yeah.
I get it. I get what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it leads me to one of my favorite scenes because one of his staff, I mean, one of the people, the kid, the youngest of his staff, is like, they hold the gun to his head, and Tommy Lee Jones, of course, just shoots him.
Yeah.
And then the guy's out there, he's like, oh, I can't hear. The gunshot went off. I can't hear. And Tommy Lee Jones says, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't bargain.
Yeah.
That's set up to his character. Like, no.
It totally does. And it shows the progression. It gives him an arc. It shows the progression, because at the end, he is trying to reason with Harrison Ford's character. In the big scene at the end, like, you're innocent. I know you're innocent. Like, all these, he is like bargaining at this point. And
right.
because he's grown, and I love that you pointed out that Tommy Lee Jones is the good guy and Harrison Ford is the good guy. And that's another thing that I love about the movie is we both want them to succeed, but what they both need to succeed at conflicts. Like, you want Richard to like get away, but you want him to solve this murder. And you like Tommy Lee Jones so much that you're succeeding. You want him to succeed too, but that would mean catching Richard. So like, you have this like conflict, but it's so well done. It's just about two smart guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're in Chicago, and they're playing cat and mouse, and Richard's staying just like half a step ahead of him.
Yes.
But Gerard is right on top of him the whole time. He wants to solve this mystery. He wants to find out who actually did kill his wife. He did love her, and
they seem to have a lovely relationship.
Yeah, and he's a doctor. He's a successful doctor. He goes back to the hospital. He does the thing in show business where they dye their hair and they shave, and all of a sudden, I don't even recognize him. Who's this? Right? Because he has a very woolly beard, to begin with. I love the stuff at the hospital where I like. Oh, is that Max?
Yeah, Max. Shh. Sorry, everybody. Max
That's okay.
also loves The Fugitive.
He is. He's a big, big fan. And he goes back to the hospital, and he's figuring out, okay, it was a man with the one arm. He's missing an arm.
Yes.
And he has, so he's trying to figure out, like, if he goes through the records, how many men could possibly just have one arm, the right arm that's missing, right? And that killed, has a record, perhaps. He's trying to figure that out in the hospital. He becomes a janitor very quickly.
Yes.
He's home with the oranges, and he's making like the new ID. This is a different time. I mean, this is. But anyway, I like the part where he's in the hospital and there's the little kid who's injured. They had that bus accident or something.
I love that scene too, because it shows that Richard Kimball still has humanity, and he still he still cares about other people, and he's a really good doctor. Like, he cares about people, even when he shouldn't, even when he needs to think about himself. He is still like, I'm going to help this kid. Or when he saves the guard on the train, and then later tells the ambulance guys, like, he has a pierced lung or whatever. And they're like, how does he know that? Like, he's still like trying to he can't help himself almost. I love that scene. It's a really sweet scene.
It's Julianne Moore.
Yeah. And I read that both her and so Jane Lynch also pops up at one point. And apparently in early scripts they were going to add a love interest, and I was like, that would be some tone deaf shit.
Wow.
So apparently Julianne Moore was going to have a more beefed up role, and she was going to be like a love interest. And I'm like, he's still mourning
For
his.
Richard?
Yeah.
Oh
He's
my
like
God.
mourning his wife who was like murdered in front of him. And I don't think he'd be like, I'm on the run. I'm trying to solve this murder. Also, I got to get laid. Like, I don't think that would be a thing that's happening. So,
okay, there's a supply closet right over there. I've got like 10 minutes. Let's go.
Like, I do think that there is these like really, really well done action scenes, but I do think the movie's really grounded in reality. And
Yes.
I don't think Harrison Ford would be looking to get some or fall in love with anybody while he's on the run here.
It's so weird how Hollywood does that.
I
Like,
know.
They just have to throw that in there, and I'm glad that they don't. And he's respected. Like, everybody loves Richard. They care about Richard. They believe him,
Mhm.
even though the Chicago press, like, if everybody else didn't believe him, but they all did.
Yeah.
They have his back. And so we find he runs into the one guy who he thinks is his friend.
Yeah, it's that creep.
That creep, he gives him some money, Richard money right away. Jane Lynch, she's completely there for him. Everybody really loved Richard, and they're all kind of like, good, he's on the run. He'll fucking figure this shit out because nobody else did. The cops just picked the person they wanted to pick, and that happens quite often.
Which, by the way, like when a wife is murdered, sadly, it is very
usually
often
it
the
is.
husband. So like they're not wrong. Like maybe they should have explored some other follow up his leads, but maybe they did. I don't know. But
They kind of walk. It's very funny to walk at, like you said, there's something like CSI and stuff. You see now those movies, and then cops just walking through a crime scene and smoking and touching everything. And, oh my God. Anyway, Richard, he goes through the computer system. He finds out he's always calling on payphones, always trying to like figure out what's going on.
yes.
And then he figures out that there was a drug that was going to be passed, but the liver samples that came back were not good. And so one of the doctors had a chance to earn millions if they can get the FDA to approve this drug. And they couldn't make the evidence work. So they decided to kill one of the doctors who wouldn't falsify the slides.
Yeah.
And then Kimball, because Kimball was also on that team. The wife was not the target. Kimball was the target.
Right.
And so the guy that's the one-armed guy that looks like he's kind of mean and shifty, that's pretty much him. He's the one. He gets away. Richard, is constantly one step. And that's when Gerard starts to figure out, like, why is this guy taking so many chances and staying in Chicago and going to all the places he used to go? He's taking a lot of risks because he's innocent, and he's going to try to figure it out. If everyone's too stupid to do it, he'll do it, even when he's a fugitive.
Yes.
And that's it. And Tommy Lee Jones goes from barking and yelling a lot. All of a sudden, he just gets very quiet in the movie. And there's times where I'm glad I had the captions because you could barely hear him. Yeah. He's like muttering sometimes in some scenes. I think it's just because he's figuring out that Richard's innocent.
And Harrison Ford is really, really good at this. That I think I do think Harrison Ford, he's a huge movie star, obviously, and everyone loves Harrison Ford. And anyone who doesn't love Harrison Ford, that's a character flaw and I would not want to talk to you. But he is so good at looking like he's thinking, or looking like he's worried and he's trying to figure things out. And it's one of the reasons I love him so much in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's why we love Han Solo. Like you can see what he's feeling like on his face and how he's trying to figure things out. And I think Tommy Lee Jones is like that too. And that's why there are a lot of scenes where they're really quiet. Even one of the most famous scenes in the movie where like Harrison Ford they're running through the sewers or whatever, those pipes, and they get to the dam, and it's like, Richard, do you want to get shot? All that, I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. All that stuff. There's that scene is also quiet. Like, as Harrison Ford, like, turns around, he puts his hands up, and you could see, like, he's thinking, he's figuring it out. Like, what are the chances if I jump? Like, will I make it? And he looks so worried. And Tommy Lee Jones is like that, too, in some of these scenes. He's quiet. He's thinking. And you can see that he's figuring it out. And it's just one of the things that I think makes this movie special, because it's an action movie that just, like I said, it moves. It's like it goes and goes and goes, and they cut out all the shit it doesn't need, but it does stop every once in a while for just a little breath to give them room to think. And I really like that about it. This was such a fun rewatch. I mean, the stuff about the liver damage and FDA approval, I'm like, whatever. It reminds me last week we watched Ghost, and there's all this stuff about money where I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I don't care about that stuff. It's just the plot generator. It's the MacGuffin, as Ebert would like to talk about. Or who was it? Alfred Hitchcock used to call it the MacGuffin, or Ebert. I forget. One of those guys. Those guys. They used to call it the MacGuffin. Like, that's basically what this is. But that's fine with me. That's fine.
Yeah, well, and it's the whole thing is that he's confronting this doctor in the middle of a symposium or a dinner at this big ball. And he just like, hey, the Provasic, you didn't, you falsified those details.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And like, nobody stops him. He just walks right in.
Yep.
And the guy goes, Dr. Richard Kimball. I think he's German.
So I sent you the John Mulaney routine about him talking about, and I was also like, what the fuck is his accent? What is that? It's like all over the place. But that's, once again, I don't care. Like, I don't care.
No. They're supposed to have a shootout, and he's supposed to chase after him. And then Tommy Lee Jones rescues him and saves him. Mm-hmm. And then the best part is that he walks him out to safety. Yes. And he's standing in front of him being the protector, so nobody can get to him. Mm-hmm. Because also we forgot to mention the Chicago cop is killed during part of the action on the L train. So on top of being a wife murderer, they think he's a cop killer. Yes. And
he's in danger.
You in danger, girl.
He's in serious danger. Like, cops, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
For that.
They will. And he takes him to the car, and then he takes off his handcuffs. It's like, you don't need that shit. We're gonna just take you to
he gives him like a little ice pack for his
and laughs with him. And kind of, I'm sure he appreciated him. Like, wow, you maybe earned my money this week. This was fun.
Yeah. Well, and then it ends with this like very like Casablanca, like this is the start of a beautiful friendship kind of thing, where it's like, I thought you didn't care. And it's like, I don't tell anybody. All right. It's like, it is very like, nobody's perfect, that sort of thing, which, but once again, I super love that about this movie. It is not a complaint on my part. I really like their relationship, and I think the action scenes in this movie are really exciting. I love the one in the, is it not in the court? Is it in a court? The one with like, oh no, in jail, like he's going to like see a guy in jail. Like Dr. Richard Kimball is on his way to visit someone who's a one-armed man who's in jail. He thinks he might be the man who killed his wife. So he goes to visit him, and also Tommy Lee Jones and his crew are all in there too. And it's really tense because there's a lot of near misses in this movie for Richard Kimball. And by the way, I like just saying his whole name, Richard Kimball. It's Dr. Richard Kimball. It's fun to say. There's a lot of near misses, and Richard Kimball is in hospitals and police stations all the time, just walking around, and nobody seems to notice him, even though he's dreamy Harrison Ford. But they are like running through this building, and the doors close, and Tommy Lee Jones shoots he's going to kill him. He's gonna fuck him
Well,
up.
there's also people standing around too.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
got his
like-
gun out and starts right. He's like, hit the floor, y'all.
Yeah. And
You don't want
then,
to get shot.
but that whole chase is really well done. And then it like runs into the St. Patrick's Day parade and the river's green.
Well, I'm just understanding now. That's probably like why they killed that guy in that other scene. It's to show you that he is willing to kill.
Yeah.
Like he just brushed it out. Like he gets calls. So he goes, well, he was a bad man.
Yeah.
You know, oh, blame me. I guess I killed him.
Yeah. And I love, though, he does refer to his team as his kids.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he was holding one of my kids.
Yeah, I get that.
I just,
Joe Pantoliano.
oh, yeah.
I'm wearing suede shoes. I feel your pain, dude. That's happened to me.
He's really great. I mean, this is before The Matrix. This is before The Sopranos. He's really, really good in this too. And they needed someone like that who could kind of match wits with a Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Because the other ones are great, but they're the other ones, exactly.
Daniel Roebuck, he played Jay Leno in that movie.
Did he?
Yeah, he played General in the Night Shift movie. That's what I always, when I see him in things, that's always what I'm thinking. Oh, Helen. Well, what are you going to do that for? That's my Jay Leno.
It's really good. That's a really good impression. I am going to go through my notes and see what else because I took so many notes. I was thinking, I wrote in here about the how it's so awful when they play the 911 call in the court at the beginning, because of course she doesn't think it's Richard that's trying to do this to her. Like, she knows it's somebody else, but they're playing it to make it sound like Richard's the one
killing me.
Yes, and he doesn't know that she doesn't know. And I was thinking how awful that must be for him.
Yeah.
That she died thinking that he did this to her.
No, I don't think that.
No, I don't think she thinks that, but I wonder if he thinks that she thought that. That's all.
I don't think so.
I read a lot into things, I guess. I did want to shout out to Harrison Ford. He is one of my forever crushes. I will forever love Harrison Ford. I just love him so much. All right, Han Solo and Indiana Jones off the table. Do you think this is his best performance?
It's up there.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he does scared shitless and figuring it out better than anybody.
That's a really good way of saying it. I took 10 minutes to say something that you just perfectly said in one line.
Yeah. That's what I like actors. Like, there's certain things, that's a skill set.
Yeah.
Somebody who's like incredibly freaked out and scared. I like his dumb movies too, like Regarding Henry, Sabrina.
I have a soft spot for Sabrina. I love the original Sabrina, and I love the remake too. I think he's really good in those.
I totally agree.
Regarding Henry's on our list, by the way. I think you put it on there a while ago. We will get to Regarding Henry someday.
Yeah.
I think he's so good in this, and I think this movie leans into what he is so good at. And maybe Tommy Lee Jones kind of stole the show with his performance, but I think Harrison Ford's really great in this. And then, I could point to Witness. I think he's really great in Witness.
Oh, I love Witness.
I love Witness too. I think he's underappreciated as an actor. I think we all know that he's an amazing movie star, but I think he's underappreciated as an actor. And I think he's really, really great in this movie. And it was nominated for Best Picture. And I think that people think this, like every year there's like a movie that's nominated where you're like, well, that's just the one that made a lot of money.
Right. It's popular.
But I think this movie is fucking great, and it's one of my favorites. It deserved to be nominated. That's what I think.
It was on you can have it on TV all the time. There's hardly any cursing.
Yes.
And it's not that violent. There's a few scenes, but it's just intense. Mm-hmm. And one scene leads to the other. There's no fat on this movie. It's just all makes sense and it all belongs to the plot and you're like exhilarated at the end. And they didn't need to make a sequel. It was just perfect the way it was.
Should we talk about the sequel?
I tried to watch it a long time ago. I think I actually went through it, but no, it's not good. And I was disappointed because like I said, I super love this movie.
Yeah, I also, right after I finished this, it's on HBO Max, and it was like, you might want to watch U.S. Marshals. And I was like, yeah, I do. And I put it on, and like, I think I made it about 20 minutes. And I was like, well, that's enough of that. It is no Fugitive. It took forever to get going. And even when it got going, I was like, I don't care. I don't care.
I don't care.
It didn't know I felt like it didn't know what it was. I'm like, is this a comedy? Like it opens with like Tommy Lee Jones in like a chicken suit. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this movie? No. I didn't even make it to when Robert Downey Jr. joins because I got bored. If I am taking out my phone and looking at TikTok during your movie, you lost me.
Yeah.
I was so bummed because I really wanted to like it after watching The Fugitive. I was chasing that high and yeah.
The Fugitive high?
Yeah. And I didn't get it. I was disappointed.
Right. It is a high.
It is.
There's just something just like you said, it's just super fucking watchable and makes Chicago look great. The St. Patrick's Day parade with the Green River.
Yeah.
And they're going through the streets and that you could see it's 25 degrees, not Celsius, guys. It's like it's freaking Chicago. It's cold.
Yeah.
Around March 17th, around St. Patrick's Day. And they said the people in the crowd were having fun, like, because they were just popping in and out of the scene, chasing each other. And so they had a good time with it, which I would too. I'm like, this is cool.
Where's all the drunk people?
Yeah. Well, wait till you get on the train after.
Oh, okay. Because here in San Francisco on St. Patrick's Day, it's a shit show in this town.
New York is just as bad, if not worse. One time I had to take the subway in the middle of the day when I worked in movie publicity and you had to go to a screening in the middle of the day. And it was March 17th. Mm-hmm. And somebody got into the mic for the subway car and says, next stop, we're going to hell. And some drunken Yahoo with like that Dr. Seuss hat with the green and white stripes. Oh, God, they're just dirtbags. My people. My people, Irish Americans from Long Island. Ugh.
I was in the emergency room one day just because I hurt myself. And I was in not anything serious, but I was in the emergency room. And I was just making chit chat with like some orderly. And I was like, what's the worst day to be in the ER out of curiosity? And he's like, St. Patrick's Day. Like, he didn't even think about it. Like, he just blurted it out. And I was like, why St. Patrick's Day? And he's like, oh, everyone drinks too much. They get really sick. They start vomiting all over. And he's on, it's like green puke because they've been drinking green beer. Like, he was like, it's the worst day of the year. And he said that he's like, it'll be like really cute, like younger college age girls with like shamrocks on their face and 4-leaf clovers, and then they're like trash, alcohol poisoning, vomiting green beer everywhere. And I was like, that sounds like hell.
Oh, that sounds horrifying. That should be a horror movie.
Yeah, I know.
Like the next Blumhouse features. They should just pick their hospital at different holidays. St. Patrick's Day. New Year's Eve.
Seriously, I'm like, I just love that because I was like, not New Year's Eve, huh? And he's like, nope, St. Patrick's Day. I was like, damn, I'm glad I asked. Good to know. I will never. Good to know. I'll try not to hurt myself or get sick on St. Patrick's Day. Good to know. Let's see. I'm going through my notes. Oh, when Harrison Ford is fighting the one-armed man on the train, and he actually takes some guns from people, and then he drops them in a mailbox. And I couldn't help but wonder what the postal workers are going to think when they open up that mailbox, and they're going to be like, what the fuck? You didn't put any stamps on these guns. There's no addresses. How am I supposed to return these? Is that something we're supposed to do if you see random shit like that? Are you supposed to put them in mailboxes? Richard Kimball's really smart. Maybe he knows something I don't.
Yeah, I don't even remember that part. I'm sorry.
I remember everything, Margo. All right, let me go through what else. It was nominated for all these awards, including film editing, and there was 6 of them. 6 editors. Yeah. Feels like it.
They only had 11 weeks between when the movie was done and when they had to put it in theater, which is nothing.
Yeah.
And they just worked around the clock.
That's insane to me. Did you ever watch the show?
With Timothy, you mean the old one?
There's a couple. So there's the one from the 60s.
I've seen that a couple of times.
And by the way, it was insanely popular. Like,
yeah.
It's
one of my mom's favorite shows.
I looked it up and it said the series finale, in which you find out like where they catch the one-armed man and Dr. Richard Kimball, his fate is revealed and all this stuff. It had a 72% household share. That means 72% of people who owned a TV were watching The Fugitive.
Holy shit.
Isn't that fucking bananas?
Wow.
Because that's when you had to watch things in real... Kids, ask your grandparents. Back in the day, you had to watch things in real time.
And there's just a few channels. They didn't, and there was no way to record it. Nobody, I mean, VCRs didn't really come out, I mean, in wide use until the 80s.
Yeah. That's an insane audience. And then there was a 2000 version of The Fugitive with Tim Daly. Did you watch that one?
No.
Me neither. What I was working as a TV critic at the time, and I remember that show was supposed to be, that was going to be the big hit. That on CBS, it was going to be the thing. It was going to be the show everyone was super into. And then a little show called CSI actually started the same year and became massive. And nobody watched The Fugitive, and it went away after one season.
I can't believe anybody would think The Fugitive was better than CSI. I loved CSI when that first came out.
I was super into CSI.
Oh my God, was it exciting.
Yeah.
It was a great show.
Once again, like, those shows are on every network all the time, but the idea of using like science to solve crimes was not a thing in 2000. Right. It was all like cops interrogating people.
I got a hunch.
Yeah, I got a hunch. There was no like, and
That's
then
another John Mulaney joke.
I got a hunch. It was all, NYPD Blue and, stuff like that.
I couldn't watch that show.
I know, once again, it has its hardcore fans, but it was not for me. Let me just say. I bet Adam Risky loves it, right? Because he loves Dennis Franz, but it was not my jam.
I wonder if he saw Murder in Texas, or Texas Justice, sorry.
That's right. We need to ask him.
Dennis Franz as Racehorse Haynes. We talked about him in the What a Creep episode last week.
Texas Justice. I still need to watch part 2. Release it on streaming channels, you cowards. So I don't have to watch it on YouTube. So I found a couple of other people who were approached for The Fugitive, including, and I swear to God, it's the same list of actors that we talk about every week. Alec Baldwin. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
yes.
Nick Nolte.
Too old.
He said he was too old. Kevin Costner. I'm like, sure.
He's fine.
Yeah. Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think Harrison Ford is perfect.
He's perfect. Yeah.
And then for Tommy Lee Jones' role, apparently they wanted Gene Hackman.
Sure.
And Gene Hackman would have been great.
Yeah.
And he also, apparently, they talked about Jon Voight. And I'm like, fuck Jon Voight.
He's a good actor, though.
He is. Yeah. I don't like him. I think he's a dick. And I don't want to have to see him in anything. Unless he's being eaten by a snake in Anaconda, then I'm all in. Do you want to hear about some of the other movies that were nominated against
please.
The Fugitive? Okay, so tough year for The Fugitive because it was nominated for Best Picture the same year as Schindler's List, which...
Thank you, Mr. Schindler.
Which It's a really good movie and super important
Not
movie.
Rewatchable.
Not rewatchable.
I haven't seen that 100 times.
Okay.
Let me just say.
All right. Let me tell you, I've seen Schindler's List more than I would like to. It played at my movie theater, and it played every semester for schools for years. And we would get a new print or a print of Schindler's List. And I don't humble brag, I was a certified projectionist. So I would put the movie together and then I would have to watch it and make sure that it was okay. Like that I'd put it together correctly, that, it wasn't all a fucked up print because it was an older print. I've watched Schindler's List more times than is fun. Let me just say, not fun.
No, but do you still cry every time?
Yes. Yeah. It hit me in the gut every single time, which is a sign of a really good movie. It's a good movie. I understand why it won everything. It's not rewatchable like The Fugitive.
Right. That's just it's you should see it because it's an important subject.
Yeah.
And the performances are great, and Spielberg is just outdoing himself.
Yes.
That it's a bummer. I mean, you have to kind of be prepared for it. You can't just happen upon Schindler's List.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So, In the Name of the Father was also nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And The Piano.
I don't like The Piano.
I saw it in the theater and I liked it. But once again, I don't go back to The Piano. And then the last one was Remains of the Day.
Never seen it.
Which I really like, actually. But once again, I don't go back and rewatch it. It's no Fugitive. Harrison Ford was, not nominated for Best Actor. So I won't. But Tom Hanks won that year for Philadelphia.
You couldn't beat Tom Hanks that year.
Mm-mm. Just coincidence. I'll just mention Daniel Day-Lewis was nominated for In the Name of the Father. Lawrence Fishburne for What's Love Got to Do with It. He's really good in that movie.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, Remains of the Day, and Liam Neeson for Schindler's List. And then Tommy Lee Jones won for The Fugitive, which is great. But these other performances are really great too. So Leonardo DiCaprio for What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, meh. Ray Fiennes for Schindler's List.
He's stone cold scary in that movie.
He is. He's really, really great in this movie. John Malkovich for In the Line of Fire.
He's so good in that movie.
He's really good in that movie
that's
too.
A great movie.
I'm like, is that one on our list? We should put that one on.
We need that on our list. That's a good movie.
Yeah, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write it down right now, and I'm going to bump it up our list. Not in September because we're doing Chicago movies, but In the Line of Fire, you're moving up with a bullet. And then the last one is Pete Postlethwaite for In the Name of the Father. I'm like,
Postlethwaite.
No, thank you. You're so good at stuff like that.
No, I'm not though. I'm just certain names I know.
Yeah.
Do you want to know some of the top songs of the summer of 1993?
Yes.
Cypress Hill, Insane in the Membrane.
I love that song.
Loco.
I still love that song.
Fucking dope song. This is another one. Duran Duran, Come Undone. Good song.
I loved when Duran Duran was cool again, and they did that in Ordinary World. I love those
Ordinary
songs.
World's one of my favorite songs
I love that song. So good.
Radiohead, Creep. Which, everybody uses that one now that sounds like a children's choir. They have that really slowed up version for all these movies right now. We're going back to the 90s. Mariah Carey, Dream Lover. Great song.
I love that song.
Diggable Planets, Cool Like That.
Oh, man. I'm going to listen to that after this. That's a good one.
Janet Jackson, That's the Way Love Goes. Dope song.
I was super into Janet. I was always into Janet Jackson. But
Janet's amazing.
I love that. It was that one, and then If.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I was into it.
And lastly, Tag Team. Whoop. There it is. I love that commercial with the husband and wife, and they're doing that in the kitchen and tag teams in the kitchen with them. Do you know this one?
No.
I look forward to this commercial so much. The mom and dad are doing 90s dancing and their kid walks in and then leaves the room like, no.
Oh my God. You should spend some time on TikTok. There's so much of that on TikTok and I am here for it. And
I am here for that. Yeah.
yeah, I also, anytime I'm dancing in this house, Calvin's like, ew. He is horrified. What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
Last Sunday, I found a show on Netflix called The Chair. It's with Sandra Oh. It's created by Amanda Peet and Annie Wyman. And it's about a college, a liberal arts college on the East Coast. Enrollment is down, and they put Sandra Oh in charge of the English department. She's the chair. And it's about the machinations of like what it takes to keep a department going. How do you keep students interested? It's about cancel culture. There's a whole segment where the school they're trying to get a celebrity to come on campus to kind of like psych people up. Some celebrities will teach for a semester at a college. So they get David Duchovny to do it. It's a comedy, I should say. Is
he playing himself? Is he playing?
Oh, yeah. Playing himself. He went to Princeton. He's actually super smart, and he had a couple of novels as bestsellers. So we're going to bring David Duchovny, and Sandra was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then she has to deal with David Duchovny, who's got a great sense of humor about himself. Let's just say
David Duchovny played himself on the Larry Sanders Show.
We had a crush on Larry Sanders.
He would follow him around. The fucking funniest thing. He was like
clever.
He was wearing like a white robe, and he kept doing the Sharon Stone thing where he was like opening his legs and like it's so fucking funny.
He's really funny in this movie, and it's in this movie. Sorry, it's a 6-episode series. They're 30 minutes apiece.
Oh,
Holland Taylor is in this.
National treasure.
Holland Taylor. Jay Duplass is in this movie. Bob Balaban is in this movie. Nana Mensa, she's in this movie. When you see it, you'll know who these people are. It's just it's funny. It talks about cancel culture. It talks about how do you keep students interested, and it's this whole other world I don't know about, but I feel like I know it better now. And it was just really, really enjoyable. Super well written. It was really funny, and it's sad at times, but it's great.
All right. It's already on my list, so I'm going to watch it this weekend. That sounds perfect for me. I'm into it. I have been watching something for What a Creep that I somehow missed it. So last year, a documentary series was on Showtime called Love Fraud. And I had not seen it. Did you see it?
I don't have Showtime now.
Okay. I don't either. This is why I missed it. And it's directed by the same team that did Jesus Camp, which I can't bring myself to watch because I know it'll make me angry. But there's this man, his name is Richard Scott Smith. And for like over 20 years, he would prey on these women, like lonely women looking for love, like on dating apps and things like that. And then he love bombs them, and then he cons them out of all their money. And the documentary is about like how he did it, but also like how a lot of these women start a blog and start banding together to catch him.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's really good. And they get like a female bounty hunter to help them. And it's fascinating to me because I think if they made a movie of this, like it, or the women never blame each other. Like it's never like stay away from my man, or like they are very quick to believe each other because they start every time he contacts a new woman, they tell the new woman what's up. And the women are never like, you're a fucking liar, stay away from my man, blah, blah, blah. It's just, holy shit. I feel so stupid. And they're not stupid. They're lonely. And you want to believe it. Like, you want to believe that you are worthy of love and that somebody wants a life with you. And like the minute like he gets like engaged or like he talks them into all of these things, he takes their money and he fucking moves on. And then eventually they interview the guy, and the stuff that comes out of his mouth, you'll just start throwing things at the TV. Like, he's trash. And he's just like, I'm the victim here. You know?
I can't wait for you to talk about this.
Yeah, and I have a lot of feelings about this person. So it's going to be a really epic What a Creep. But
I can't wait.
I think the documentary is really well done. It's 4 episodes. They're like 50 minutes each. It's really good. I watched it on Amazon Prime, but I rented the series. I didn't pay for Showtime. I just went ahead and spent the $6.99 to rent it and got the series. And it was worth it to me because I think it's really good. So if you are looking for like kind of a true crime that isn't about like murder or sexual assault, yes, exactly, which is what I was looking for because our What a Creeps have been a little rapey lately. I was looking for something a little different, and I found it in Love Fraud. So check it out. Yeah, so that's it. I'm like, so Margo, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram, and my site is brooklynfitchick.com.
Everyone follow Margo on the social media channels. She is writing a book about movies filmed in Brooklyn, and she's posting the most awesome photos and content on her channels. I can't wait to read her book, and I love seeing her stuff on Instagram, especially because I love seeing so many of the movies we've talked about on Dorking Out. Margo goes and visits the sites in Brooklyn. So follow her. You won't be sorry. Please. And if you like the sound of our voices, and I'm sure you do because you're awesome, we also host What a Creep, which I mentioned earlier in the upcoming episode. It's about love fraud. And you can find that at whatacreeppodcast.com. We're having so much fun over there. Please listen. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com. And I'm actually writing again, y'all, on that blog. So it's one of the things I'm doing to deal with my shit like everyone else in the world. Join me on my blog. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at The Sonia Show and TikTok, where it's mainly videos of my dogs. And you can find Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com. Email us. It's dorkingout@gmail.com. If you have requests, we take requests. We've gotten so many requests. We keep a list. We get to them. We can send you adorable stickers. And this was super fun. I am so excited to go to Chicago and see you. I'm going to hug the shit out of you. I can't wait.
Do you think they'll dye the river green for us?
Yes.
Whatever that is, they're going through Chicago. I know it's not St. Patrick's Day, but that's the shit I want to see.
Let's ask them.
Yep.
And in the meantime, Margo, I want you to do a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, and doghouse in the area. Checkpoints go up at 15 miles.
I don't make deals.